Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2015 Ford Mustang Roush RS. Up front is a 3.7 liter V6, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Roush RS for many reasons. Mainly the fact that it is a stick-shift Mustang. It's a Roush, which is special, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But it's also the first warm day here in Illinois. I'm in a cherry red Mustang, shifting my own gears. It's gonna be a good day today, and I'm happy about that. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But first, let's talk about what Roush is and why it's important here on this car. Roush is an aftermarket performance company that mostly focuses on Fords. Almost any Mustang or F-150 from the last 30 years has some optional Roush performance parts that you can go buy, slap on, and either make more power or make your car look cooler. They also do offer vehicles from the factory, and so someone in 2015 went and bought this Roush Mustang off the showroom floor with the bits added to it. Now, I say Roush almost exclusively does Ford products. That's what they're known for, but back in the 2000s, they actually dabbled with the Pontiac G6, did some performance parts for that, and now they actually offer a trim level of the Nissan Frontier with Roush parts on it. So they branch out every once in a while, but they're mostly a Ford company. The RS got the V6, 300 horsepower flat, got the exhaust and an appearance package. That's all that's really done to this car. The RS1 actually went down to the EcoBoost Mustang, so the 2.3 liter turbo, but it actually gained 10 horsepower, so that made about 310. Then you have the 5 liter Mustang. That was the RS2, and that got all the power upgrades and all the coolness to make you feel macho. And so this is the basic RS package, and we'll talk about that a lot throughout the video. But let's get back to that 3.7 liter V6 under the hood. Well, it might not be anyone's first choice. I like the EcoBoost motors. I also love the 5 liter V8s, but the 3.7 liter is a very solid middle ground. If you want a backroad cruiser, like what I'm doing here today, this is actually a really great engine. It's a little bit lighter than the V8, so the nose is a little bit less heavy, the weight balance is a little bit better, and this 3.7 liter is so gosh darn reliable as compared to the 2.3 turbo and the 5 liter V8. If you want longevity and reliability, the 3.7 is the way to go. It actually has its roots all the way back with Mazda in the mid-2000s, found in the Mazda 6. It was used in the Ford Explorers for a certain amount of time, and so it actually is quite lovely. 300 horsepower with a stick shift makes this a fantastic drive, and honestly, I'm not sitting here thinking that I need any more power. Of course, the 5 liter V8 does exist, but with the Roush exhaust, I'm honestly not missing it, and I wouldn't have even really noticed too much of a difference. Unless I drove the cars back to back, of course, but I'm having fun, I'm rowing my own gears, and this engine is pretty solid. Now, this particular engine has had its heads ported and polished, as well as the intake has been slightly modified. Whether that adds power, I'll let you be the judge, but it is slightly modified in that way. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual, and honestly, I really like it. I love being able to shift my own gears. I'm really enjoying that part of the drive. However, this is where the reliability goes downhill a little bit. This is the MT82 transmission, not a Tremec. It's not any of those, big name brand stuff. And so it's a little weak. Third gear makes a slightly weird noise. The throwout bearing is, I think, about to sing me a song. And that's pretty common for these. Anytime someone wants to build power with the V6 or the MT82, you gotta build the transmission. They're just not very strong. But let's give it a little bit of second. That is all that I need, ladies and gentlemen. That is all that I need. You don't need much more than that. It's nice and cool to have the V8 and obviously popping the hood, saying coyote, you know, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, for the back road, for the application that I'm in now, let's get a little bit more sound here. We have a nice little curve here. It's lovely. It's very, very playful. It's very predictable because it's NA and non-turbo. It doesn't have any lag. You have that torque that you want. The V6 is a really, really solid middle ground, please everyone engine. If you want that power, you have it. If you want something bigger than a 4-cylinder, and all that together, it's really, really playful, which is fun. This feels more like a sports car than the brutal muscle car of the GTs. And honestly, sometimes I kind of like that. And it also sounds so much better than the 4-cylinder. The 4-cylinder turbo, as much as I like the power, when you put an exhaust on it, it sounds like it just had a big old plate of Nachos Del Grande and it is running to the bathroom. So this actually sounds good, still performs good enough. It's in the middle, but the middle's a safe spot to be in, and I like that a lot. Also with the transmission, it does have a slightly heavy clutch. Cars of this caliber always have heavier clutches. Camaros, Mustangs, Chargers, and Challengers, they have a pretty heavy clutch usually, so it's par for the course in here. But my Miata and MR2 loving left foot just has to work a little bit harder here today. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature, and off to the right is the speedometer and fuel, and we do get a little customizable screen in the center. Really, really like this. This is where Ford started giving us a lot of information in their cars, and I like to see that here. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as our cruise control. And off to the right, we have skip track, volume, phone options, and voice commands. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, as well as our headlight switch and gauge dimmer switch, along with fog lights. And moving on to the door, we have our latch you get in and out with our lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get 3 symmetrical climate control vents, but off to the right, we do have a Jack Roush badge with the serial number of this vehicle. This is year 15, so 15.0007. Call this thing 0007 if you will. And I like that little added special badge. Down below that, we get a tiny infotainment display. We have a number pad and some selectors and whatnot. We have our climate controls down below. This, to me, is very, very peak button. You know, this era, the 20 teens, a lot of buttons as we started to sort of switch over to screens. There's just a lot going on here. Single zone climate. We also have hazard switch and traction control, and we do have our steering feel, so we can put it into normal, sport, and comfort for the steering. Very, very nice to see that. Then we do have a USB-A and a 12-volt outlet and the shifter itself. The shifter is a Roush shift knob. This came from the factory for this car. And you pull up on the collar all the way left and forward for reverse. And funny enough, the reverse logo is the Roush R. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2015 Roush Mustang. And I am happy to report that it does in fact pass. Now, it would be obscenely annoying to shift gears with a big friggin' bottle in the way, but it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. Then we have a little center armrest that does open up, and we have the seats. The seats are cloth. These are nothing special at all. Now, normally I would be kind of annoyed by this. You know, you pay the nice money, you get the nice Roush package, you should get nicer seats. However, honestly, they're fine. And I would guess that there was an assumption by Roush that you'll probably pull these seats out and put a bucket seat in or modify them and change them anyway, so might as well just use the cheapo ones. Now, we do have back seats, unfortunately for me, so I'm going to cram myself into the back of this Roush Mustang. All right, time to get into the back of the Roush Mustang. But something cool is that you actually do get a Roush badge on the inside of the passenger door as well. Very, very cool. So we do have this lever down here. I don't see a lever to move it up. Besides here in the front. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, wow. All right, I'm in the back of the Roush Mustang. My head, I can't even lift it up fully without hitting the ceiling. As you'll notice behind the driver, which this is my driving position, there's like no space at all. So, this is not a good back seat. If you plan on taking your family out on a cruise, I would highly recommend a different vehicle. Maybe like young kids can fit back here. I'm 5'11" and way too big for this back seat, and so I am not having a pleasurable experience. Don't count on this being a 4-seater. Count on this being a 2-seater with 2 backpack holders, essentially. That's it. Let's hop into the back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. So you do also get this Roush garnish going across the back, which is nice, and the trunk button is actually down here. So lift that up, and there you go. That is the rear trunk of the Mustang. Nothing obviously changes for the Roush, but if you've never seen the trunk of a 2015 Mustang, well, today is your absolute lucky day, because here it is. So there you go, trunk of the Mustang. I hope you're happy. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is the biggest change for the Roush edition of this Mustang. It does get an appearance package that I really quite like. Again, it does get that performance exhaust, but that's the only actual performance modification that this car got. I think it looks killer. Walking up to it, walking around it, I love the way that this car looks. And I think this generation of Mustang is just a really, really good looking generation. So it checks all my boxes. It's a red Mustang on a sunny day, and I can't complain about that. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Roush RS Mustang? Well, I've really, really enjoyed this experience. If you check your ego at the door, you will really, really like this Mustang. No, it's not the V8. No, it doesn't get any crazy Roush packages or any supercharger under the hood, nothing of that sort. But if you just look at what's in front of us here today, this is an amazing, amazing sports car. 300 horsepower, great. This is the first generation where the Mustang got independent rear suspension, and it shows. It actually handles. You can drive this car in a spirited fashion and not fear for your life. That's a huge improvement. It looks good. The manual transmission, when it behaves and isn't a box of rocks, it's actually very good. And I think these cars are really going to be overlooked, not only because the V6 was a shorter-lived engine, but everyone either wants a turbo or the V8. This kind of fell through the cracks, and I think it shouldn't, because it really is a wonderful, wonderful package. Are you going to wow your neighbors and put down crazy lap times at your next track event? No, but it's literally meant to do what I'm doing here today. Nice, quiet country back road. It's sunny. And I'm just moving through space and time in a Mustang. That's it, and that's what the original Mustangs were always meant to do. The original Mustang was a 6-cylinder. You know, I think throughout the ages, the Mustang has morphed into something other than what it was originally intended to be, but this feels more like it. This feels more original. This feels like what the Mustang originally set out to do before it chased superchargers and lap times and California specials. This is it, man. This is it. And the Roush editions don't hurt either. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ben for letting me borrow his Roush RS Mustang. This has been such a lovely day. So good to see Ben again. I filmed his Scion XB manual way, way, way back in the day. So it's always good to catch up with an old friend, especially over such a wonderful vehicle like this. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video. Comment on the video, subscribe if you really liked it, and take care.